Hi guys. So this morning while I was out hunting, I kind of had a big realization that I think for me it makes a lot more sense if I just focus on farming. Which is kind of weird because I am like one of the biggest cheap asses you will ever meet, ever. And the idea of having meat for free versus meat that I then have to pay to feed and raise and all of this stuff, like free meat is always better. Like that's just how I've always been. But I think that over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of growth for me, honestly, of where I'm valuing my time a lot more than my money. And realizing that basically, like my time, I'm not getting this back. That right now, like I've spent, bow season has been in for the last like 5 days, and I've spent every morning and almost every evening out in the woods, sacrificing sleep, sacrificing time with my wife, sacrificing time with my animals, sacrificing time doing things that I actually really thoroughly enjoy. I am an extremely active person. Like I've got ADHD like in all capacities and stuff. Like I'm always having to move and stuff. So it's very hard for me to sit still that long. It's very taxing on my body and on my joints to stand in a like perfectly statuesque pose. It's also hard for me knowing that this might not work. It could be like the last 2 years where I've spent hundreds of hours in the woods for nothing except for being cold, irritated, frustrated. So, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about how everything with hunting is not guaranteed. That even if you are able to get a shot off, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the deer. It doesn't mean that you're going to find the deer. It doesn't mean you're going to have a successful recovery. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I had the opportunity last night that I could have taken a young one. It didn't have spots on it still, but it really wasn't that big. It probably would have only yielded about 30 pounds of meat. And when its mom started freaking out and all this stuff and basically trying to offer herself up to me of take me instead of the baby and dancing around and all sorts of stuff, trying to do everything that it could to get me to not take the shot and get the baby to stop eating the corn and run away and stuff, I realized that there's so much like goats that I can't do it. Like, we raise goats for milk primarily. We've always thought that we would eventually raise them for meat also. But in the last month or so, I've really been thinking about not doing that because two of the males that we have, one of which we had kept in an attempt to start raising them for meat, he is like super duper ridiculously friendly, and he's not a bottle baby. And Tracy and I had talked about like that neither of us could handle pulling the trigger, could handle doing the deed and stuff. But when I seen the deer last night, like literally 20 feet from me, I couldn't unsee it, that they're just the same as the goats, that it's the same thing, except for with the goats, they're never going to have to struggle of searching for water during a drought. They're never going to have to struggle to stay warm enough when we have negative 35-degree cold snaps that happen. They're never going to struggle to find water when everything is frozen solid. They don't have to struggle to find food because they've got me, the world's biggest sucker, that's just going to keep giving them food, that's going to take them water, that's going to make sure that they don't have parasites, that they don't have to struggle, that they don't have to suffer through anything, that they're living the best life possible. And I realized that, like, my God, these deer, like, if I were thinking of them as livestock and stuff, I have no idea what their herd looks like, if they're sick, if they're okay, if they're not okay. Are these ones, what the big picture is here. And I got so into it that I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this. That the only way that I could do this is if like a buck walked up by me and I knew that there's, because obviously bucks aren't going to have kids with them and stuff. They're not training youngins to where to go and where to sleep and what's safe and what's not safe. They're just kind of off doing their own thing and stuff. I thought, okay, I could do if it's a buck that comes up. I could do it then and stuff. Then I started thinking more about it, and I thought about how many deer are lost every year during bow season because they're not mortally wounded enough, or the DRZ would have run too far to be able to find them, or off the property, or all these millions of things that make it really hard to recover a deer. And I just thought, my God, I could spend the next several weeks out here hoping to get a deer. I could line up the shot. I could make the shot perfectly, and it's still not guaranteed success. To me, I think I honestly would much rather take that one moment of sadness, or that couple days of sadness that I ended up having to take a life of something that I've known since birth, which, we do that a lot on our farm, right? when I get done filming, I'm going to go butcher 4 ducks that we hatched out ourselves from the eggs that our own ducks laid. Like all of this stuff, like we're so used to it with all of this. And like last night I kept thinking about how, and this morning I kept thinking about how basically the first time that I killed a chicken, I cried. I was upset. Now, right now, I actually have over here, I don't know if you guys will be able to see him, right in the brush over there, there's like a dozen chicks that here, honestly, which they're looking at me, most of them are roosters. Here, honestly, in the next like 2 months, I'm going to butcher them all, even though I know who hatched them. I know their story. I know their bloodline. I know everything. You know, it's one of those things that I guess that when you first start it, it kind of messes with you and stuff. But yeah, basically, I realized too that when we butcher stuff here on the farm, we make sure that it is quick and humanely as possible, as painless as possible for the animals, and as stress-free as possible. For one, that's the kind thing to do. For two, the meat tastes very different if it's stressed out, if it's under duress, if it's scared, if it's anything, if it's tense. It tastes different. Texture's different. I really don't want to go through all of that work to harvest an animal just to not be able to eat it myself because it just tastes like stress. I don't know. So yeah, pretty big growth, pretty big realizations, and realizing that I'd rather spend money than waste my time, waste my energy, be uncomfortable, be miserable. But also I don't want to maim an animal. That's all I keep thinking about is what if it doesn't die? And I ran through so many scenarios in my head of having to use my knife to finish things or having to shoot it again or just and none of them are pretty. None of these are pretty options. So yeah, I think I'm just going to unstring my bow, hang it up this year, and just wait for little Lion to grow up. Breed some more goats. Wait for them to grow. Do different things. But yeah. Off to butcher some ducks. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.